The purpose of this video is to simply show you how to write Raspberry Pi OS to the micro SD cards, put it into your Raspberry Pi and get it working. Reason being, I don't think on the channel I have a video only showing that process, so that's the point of this. First step is you need to go to Google and you need to type in Raspberry Pi OS. That's all you need to type in, you don't need to do anything else. As of May 2025, it's always been the very first link that comes up at the very top, so I'm going to click on that. Then from here, I'm going to scroll down slightly. I would recommend downloading Raspberry Pi OS Imager, or the Raspberry Pi Imager, because that way very little can go wrong. It works really well. I've been using this now for about 6 months and it's just been perfect every single time. There's no need to download separate ISOs. There's nothing of that. You simply run the program and it does everything for you. So you go ahead and download it for whatever operating system you have. I have Windows on this machine, so I'm going to be downloading Windows. Then I'm going to simply, once you've downloaded, click on it, install it, give it the permissions it needs, and then we're going to open it up. So once you've opened it for the very first time, this is what you see. Raspberry Pi, nothing else is on screen. I have already plugged in my memory stick, so I'm going to go through the process now and explain which options you need to choose. The first one that says choose device, I'm going to click on that button there, and then when that comes up, you need to simply choose the Raspberry Pi that you have. Even if you have an older Raspberry Pi 2, Raspberry Pi 3, still works perfectly fine. I have a Raspberry Pi 400 and a Raspberry Pi 500, so I'm going to choose my devices. So for the first one, I'm going to choose Raspberry Pi 4, but that comes on the 400 as well. The 400 comes on the 4 as well. So if I click on the list again, as you can see, it says Raspberry Pi models B, 400 and compute model 4 and 4S. So I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to choose my operating system. For this one, I'm going to be using Raspbian OS. For this one, I'm going to be using Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. I'm going to use the normal version. There is a headless version as well, meaning you don't get the graphical user interface, so you don't get your windows, your icons, your menus, your pointers. You simply get a terminal interface, which is going to be really good for doing stuff like servers. I'm going to need this for actual desktop UI stuff, so I'm going to go with the very first one that says 64-bit. I'm going to click on that. Final option here says storage. I'm going to choose storage, click on that, and then I'm going to choose the only memory card plugged in. If you have multiple memory cards plugged in or memory sticks plugged in, they might show up here, so just be careful on the one that you choose. I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to click on next. It's asking here if I want to apply any customization to setup. I'm going to choose no. I believe this is where you would put your SSH details in. It's going to wipe the device. Am I sure I want to clear everything? I'm going to choose a yes, and then just wait. Once that finishes, I'll show you the Raspberry Pi 5 or the Raspberry Pi 500 method as well. It's exactly the same process, but you make one single change and it does exactly the same thing. Once writing is completed, you simply click on continue, and that's it, you're done. You close the program down, you eject your SD card, and you can plug this directly into your Raspberry Pi. I'm showing the process for installing Raspberry Pi OS on a Raspberry Pi 5, a Raspberry Pi 500, and a Raspberry Pi 5 compute module. This video is going to be Raspberry Pi 4 and 5, but someone might just want to watch a Raspberry Pi 5 version, so that's why I'm doing it again. So you go to Google, this is the very first step. Go to Google and you type in Raspberry Pi OS. It's going to be the very first link that comes up normally. I'm going to click on that link. It takes me to the Raspberry Pi website. You scroll down just 1 or 2 notches on your mouse, and then it's going to go to the section here that says install Raspberry Pi OS using Raspberry Pi Imager. The Raspberry Pi Imager is a free program that you can download for any operating system that you have, except for Android, obviously. It's a free program. The Raspberry Pi Imager is a free program that you can download for any operating system that you have. So I am running Windows, so I'm going to download it for Windows. You can go ahead and download it for any operating system that you have, and the steps after this part is going to be more or less exactly the same. Download it, install it, accept everything that you need to accept, and then once you've downloaded and installed a program, this is what you're going to be seeing. So again, these steps are for the Raspberry Pi 5, Raspberry Pi 500. It's going to be very similar to the Raspberry Pi 4, 400, and 4S. However, there's one single difference we have to make, and it's going to be where it says choose device. So I'm going to click on where it says choose device here. And as you can see on the list, I've got almost every Raspberry Pi that's ever been created here, which is perfect. This is a really good way to manage everything. At the very top of the list, you're going to see Raspberry Pi 5, 500, and compute module 5. This is what you need to click if you need to install Raspberry Pi OS on the Raspberry Pi 5, 500, and compute module 5. I'm going to click on it, and that's it, I'm done. From here, I choose my operating system. I'm going to be using Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit, which is the very first one on the list for me. Click on that. If you need other versions, you can scroll down. If you need a headless version of this, the way you get to the headless version, you go to Raspberry Pi OS Other, you click on it, and it's going to give you all the options that you have here. For example, the headless version, which is light, is 0.4 gigabytes. So let's just round that off to 400 megabytes versus the full fat version, which doesn't even show it here, but it's like 1.3 to 1.4 gigabytes. So 3 times larger than what the light version is. It's going to be really good for doing servers and stuff that's really lightweight. However, I want to be using the desktop, so I'm going to click on the very first one, Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. Once I've done that, I need to choose my storage. Storage is going to be the memory card that you have plugged in. Be careful, if you have memory sticks and other memory cards plugged in, they will show up on this list here. So again, all I did, I clicked on storage here, choose storage, and it will come up with everything that you have plugged in. Be careful that you click on the right one. I only have a memory card plugged in at the moment, so I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to choose next. It's going to ask me if I want to apply OS customization settings. I'm going to choose no. This is where you would put in your SSH settings. I'm going to choose no for this one. But just to show you what it looks like, you can go to edit settings, pops up with this window here, and you can put in the stuff that you want. So username, password for SSH, everything is set up directly from here. Really good if you're running a headless setup and you don't want to go in and do this stuff later on. If you're running a normal desktop operating system where you can plug it into a screen and everything, you can always go in and do this afterwards. If it's a headless setup where it's just a terminal, power, no screen being attached, you ideally want to set this up here. I'm going to close this. I'm going to click no. And then from here, it's asking me if I'm sure I want to wipe everything. I'm going to choose yes. And then let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. And once it's done, I'll come back and explain the next. Everything installed and okay. I'm going to simply click on continue, and then from here I'm going to close this program and go ahead and eject the memory card and put it into my Raspberry Pi.